Today I'm going to show you how I managed to lose money even though the whole Discord made money, and I called out exactly what was going to happen throughout the entire day. Now I'm making this video simply because I want to be as transparent as possible and show you that even people like myself who do this full-time for a living will still struggle emotionally. So in this video I'm going to break down exactly what happened, all the trades I took, the levels I called out, and what exactly went down. So if we go ahead and look at my trade over here, we can see that I have a total profit of $379.50. That is across 6 accounts. And we have a total loss of 728 also across these 6 accounts, and a total P&L for the day of negative 348.50, obviously also across the 6 accounts. So as you can see, a very unfortunate day here for me, but it does happen, and I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. Without further ado, let's jump right onto the charts and show you exactly what went down. All right, so here we are on the charts, and I'm quickly going to go over all these setups that I was looking at today. So first of all, we got to start on the daily chart, right? When I came into today, I was expecting a bearish market simply because the overnight session opened very, very bullish. So we actually had no wick to the downside here, right? There was no wick here. Very, very rarely do we have a daily candle that has no wick to either the downside or the upside. Almost every candle has a wick to the upside and to the downside. And because of that, I was expecting us to have a bearish New York AM session, and that was confirmed when the market opened and we gapped up. As you can see today, regular trading hours, we had a large gap to the upside. Now, what do these large gaps tell me? Well, they tell me that they are likely going to get filled, and they are likely going to get filled fast. Okay, this is a very, very known concept in the stock world. People that trade stocks or options, not so much ICT traders. They don't really pay attention to these gaps, even though it's like a huge part of my analysis. And that kind of confirmed the bearishness in the New York AM session for me. So going back to electronic trading hours here, I can see that the 9:30 opening bell had a move to the upside, right? I was expecting that move to be manipulation, especially with the following displacement that we got. Now, let me show you exactly what happens. We created a 5-minute imbalance right here. Okay, now this imbalance I was very, very interested in taking. Now the reason for this is obviously because I was expecting that imbalance to send us down and fill the entire regular trading hour gap. But something even more important was the fact that we had a new day opening gap right here. Right, new day opening gap here in the middle of the regular trading hour gap. So lower prices was heavily favored here, and I was expecting this 5-minute gap to send us there. Now let me show you exactly what ended up happening. As you can see, price really just never came back. It made a high, and that high actually did not touch the imbalance, even though it looks like it. It actually did not touch the 5-minute gap. So fortunately enough, it did not touch the 5-minute gap, so I was not filled, but it made a high, and I was willing to sell this high, right? I had a sell limit at this high. Let's see what happens. Price came up again, right? Oh yeah, when this high was made, that's when the 5-minute gap was created. Then this high came up, and I had a sell limit here, and obviously you can see it just didn't get triggered right to the tick, right? So off the bat, I'm a bit frustrated, right? Because watch and see what happened. Exactly what I thought would happen happened. I was just extremely unlucky and was 2 ticks away from being filled. Again, I called out in the Discord live in front of people exactly what was going to happen. Some people even made money on this. They were lucky enough to get filled. Simply, I did not make any money. I did not even place the trade. So very unfortunate that I had to get left behind here. Then we hit that new day opening gap, and obviously no longer interested. I still kept this in mind though. So we're going to keep this key level in mind because obviously there's still a 5-minute gap that we have not swept yet, okay? There's still equal highs that we have not swept yet. So we're going to keep that key level in mind for later. Let's move on to the next trade. Now, right about here is where I was filled on my second position of the day. Unfortunately, I personally did not place this on my live accounts simply because it's not the way I trade. I still called it out to the people in the Discord though, and a bunch of people made money off of it, okay? So we traded through the new day opening gap, filled it completely. Same with the regular trading hour gap. We had now filled it, and we had wick below these lows over here, right? We had wick below him, and this kind of looked like the beginning of a market maker buy model. I was expecting this to be the first stage distribution. What is that? Well, expansion, consolidation, expansion. That's kind of what I was anticipating here. Then we had a swing high that overlapped with this imbalance here, and I told people that this would be a pretty good long off of the breaker right there, tight stop on it, and then the target was the 15-minute imbalance right there. So the trade looked like this. We were filled and price rallied straight to take profit without any worries whatsoever. No pullbacks, no nothing. Now, I did not personally take this again, okay? Not the way I trade usually, so I decided to stay off of it. Did call it out, and it went beautiful, right? So a little bit of frustration here from my side because I called out something so perfect, and I did not actually capitalize off of it. So a little bit more frustration came into my mind right here, and that's where it all went wrong. Now, on a 5-minute time frame, we ended up actually making a 5-minute imbalance here. Now, let me see. Yeah, we did. Now, my entry, I'll show you in a second here. Right there is the 5-minute imbalance that we made. So we made a low on the 1-minute time frame, very, very near the 5-minute gap. I was very interested in buying this because I thought that this was the next draw on liquidity, and I was anticipating a second stage distribution of the market maker buy model right here. Okay, what is that? Again, expansion, consolidation, expansion, consolidation, expansion. That's what I was expecting. So I got filled right here at the filling of that gap. I had a tight stop, and my TP was these highs, these equal highs here, and that 5-minute gap. So let's see what happens. I get filled. It looked great in the beginning, and then obviously went to nothing. And then right after I got stopped out, we rallied and we rallied and we rallied straight to take profit. So again, here I'm very frustrated. I have just called out 2 positions. I have not made any money myself. The one single trade I take stopped me out to the tick and then went higher. Obviously, this was not a very, very good trade. I shouldn't have placed it, but I expected it to be a measuring gap. Obviously, it failed to be a measuring gap. But looking back at it, I can see that this is not a trade that I should have placed, not something I usually placed. And I simply placed it because I was frustrated that I didn't make any money on the other ones, okay? Now, here comes, so that's one losing trade right here. Now, here comes the key level that I have been monitoring all day. These equal highs, that 5-minute imbalance, and it had now also become a 15-minute imbalance. And on an hourly chart, it had also become an hourly gap, and my entry aligned pretty well with the filling of that hourly gap. Now, we also had a 1-hour inversion gap there, and we had a 1-hour reclaimed order block right there. So I was pretty confident in this setup, although then again, not so much. I've been going through a rough period, a losing streak, been very unlucky, so I actually took my full profit at a 1-to-1 here, which I sometimes will do with futures accounts, especially with Apex because of the unrealized drawdown. But again, I was filled and price obviously consolidated a little bit and then hit my take profit. And it actually went a whole lot lower than that, but that was the win. So I won here as much as I had lost down here. So at this moment in time, I'm break even, right? For some reason, I wanted to be in profit for today. And I guess it's because I have been going through a bit of a rough period. And after that, I was really wanting a scalp off of this high. Now, this is just a small scalp that I was anticipating. So my entry was the gap here, anticipating this to be turtle soup. I had a tight stop on it, and I had a tight TP of a 1-to-1, and then that would be me done for the day. Now, let's see what happens. Price comes up, fills me, and immediately hits take profit, right? Now, the only sad part about this is that my entry was at 34. So right here, my entry was, right there was my entry. Obviously, I didn't get filled. So after all this over here, still a bit of frustration for the day. I was really confident in this position too. It worked out. I didn't get filled by a single tick again. Okay, so at this moment, I'm very not happy with myself. Obviously, this was not my fault. That's just completely unluck. So I went ahead and re-entered off of the high sweep here. Now, actually not that bad of a position, considering that we have a 1-minute gap here. First high made inside a 1-minute gap. Consistent encroachment right there. And I was had a tight stop on it at this high, targeting this low down here. Or actually, it was the consistent encroachment of this larger wick. So it looked exactly like this. And that was the trade, right? I was really anticipating this to be the second stage distribution of a market maker sell model. Obviously, the market maker model started from my key level, so that's even better. Now, this was very forced because I missed my original entry. Very sad, but then we take a look at what happened. Boom, price rallies straight to my stop, and I take one more loss. So, again, very, very stupid. I was filled at 1150. That's the macro from 1150 to 1210. And if the first candle of 1150 is this bullish, then likely we're going to take out the highs with the macro hour. Often we seek liquidity within those macro hours. And as you can see, that's exactly what happened. I should have known better, but I was just overwhelmed by emotion. Not something I would usually do. So very embarrassed of myself here today, but I wanted to come on here and make sort of a raw video, a less edited video for all of you to show you that even people who do this for a living and who have been doing this for a long time still struggle emotionally and will make mistakes because of their emotion. So you're not alone. Tough times are destined to happen in this game. It's what you sign up for. It's not easy. It will not always be easy. Prior to this, I had a great winning streak. I was never losing almost for a long period of time. And then recently I have been going through a really rough time. And that obviously results in losses because emotions get in play. And yeah, it's not a good time, but it's destined to happen. What do we have to do? We have to journal all our stuff. We have to learn from our mistakes. And then eventually it will go over. It's just all about just sticking through it, sticking with the same strategy that you've always been having. And just doing the same thing over and over again and not letting emotion control you. And then eventually you will get on the right path again. That's what I tell myself every time I go through one of these periods. I've went through it before, and you know, I always come out very clean on the other side. So always keep that in mind. But again, just a video to hopefully inspire some of you guys or show you that, you know, trading is not always beautiful. It's a rough business, very stressful. And you can question yourselves a lot of times, and it will happen. So just because these influencers make it seem like they never lose or they never go through a bad period in their trading, they do. I promise. They're just too scared to show it. Luckily, though, all the members in the Discord made money today because I kept my losses personal. I knew I was going through a rough period. So all the trades I called out, they took and earned money. And the ones I took here, I showed you, I took personally. I did not share it with them. So luckily I kept it personal and the Discord still ate. Very happy about that. But again, just for transparency reasons, I made this video. So I hope you enjoyed. Now I'll see you in the next video.